We're back. Wow, I have missed hanging out with you. Over the next 20 weeks, we are going to run through numbers 21 to 30 on our list of the greatest products we make in Britain. Just a reminder, they don't come in a specific order. I'm sure we're going to throw in some bonus episodes there as well. Right, let's get travelling. Cue the usual music. My name's Steve, and I love people who make things. We're a nation of inventive, inspiring makers.
This room alone will produce 100,000 items a year. But yeah, it used to be full of cows.
And then I'd be, Afghanistan or Iraq, sat in my room just sketching out designs, waiting to come home to play around with them.
I'm on a mission to list the greatest products we make, because if we don't champion the skills on our doorstep, we risk losing them.
Running down to our left, we have hand cutting. The problem is getting labour now.
One of the biggest challenges we have here is our ageing workforce.
Join me as we hear stories from behind the factory doors.
I remember drawing my dad's house and he said, "Why don't you count the bricks?"
Oh, he wanted you to be quiet, didn't he? Do you ever have any sleepless nights, Alex?
I don't sleep.
Together, let's make more makers. Welcome to the factory next door, and welcome to the city of Gloucester in the west of the country. We're about, maybe 20 miles away from the border with Wales. You might be able to hear the bells ringing in the background. That's from Gloucester Cathedral, which is just behind me. We got a very pretty cobbled street leading to where I am right now, looking at Bearland House. A really stunning 18th century building. And that's where we're heading into today, because in here they make the very finest cotton shirts. You don't need to take my word for it. Take the word of King Charles, who gets his shirts from here, and Emma Wills. Whilst I go in and say hello, have a listen to what's coming up in this week's show.
The only job I could do, having no qualifications, was selling clothes door to door.
Dream come true. I was in tears when she gave me the job. I was just amazed.
I felt that my career was a massive disappointment.
That first day you must have been thinking, I hope these people can actually deliver.
I've realised what it is, having no choice.
So this is your body and paper version.
Today, I wake up in the morning and gloriously I am pulled out of bed by so many responsibilities.
I look forward to Mondays.
I love Mondays too.
And I'm going to die here. I'm never going to retire.
Hello. Very nice to meet you. Hi there. Where would I find Emma?
I think she went upstairs.
She's upstairs, is she? Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Hello there.
Emma, it was lovely to meet you. How are you doing?
You can hear the cathedral bells and everything. So it's just literally through that, follow this cobbled and you're there. I did always think that shop is very nice on the corner. If we did have a shop in the city, that's where we'd have one.
We've come to your office, I'm guessing, at the top of Bearland House. Lots of photos around me with very famous faces. I recognise David Gandy. I saw King Charles down there. There's also Stormzy there. Am I right in thinking that you went to the Slade School of Art?
I did, yeah.
So
many years ago.
You must be a good artist then.
I loved drawing. I loved drawing people predominantly, and I never mastered the art of painting or really made any progress with painting. I loved drawing.
Do you still draw?
Little bit, but not really. I now find I'm very taken up in everything that I'm doing, and I think creatively I am satisfied enough, very much so, by just running the whole process of running the business. I think it is a creative process, so I don't feel the need to draw really anymore. I used to write quite a lot too, and I used to sing. I loved pretty well all the arts, and I was trying to find one that I had any talent in at all. And as I have said before, people, I found that the world was more interested in my shirts than my voice or my drawings. So,
oh, please tell me you still. If you're not drawing, please tell me maybe you're writing. Please tell me you still sing.
I still sing occasionally, much to the embarrassment to my family. And I still, yes, so a little bit of them all still. I mean, writing I'm doing all the time because in the business, you know, I write all our copy and our emailers. And so you're using words to portray to the world, you know, the product you're making. And so I am using more writing now than singing or drawing.
It sounds very much like you're bursting with creativity. You're singing, you're doing your art, you're writing. You know, kind of presumably this is in your early 20s, and you're finding a way to make a living out of that. You're finding a way to bottle that creativity and be able to sell it. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's absolutely spot on. And I do, you know, I have a real sympathy for young creative people who are trying to work out how to do those two things, how to do a job that actually, you know, makes enough money to pay your rent and your food and your everything else, and also be rewarding creatively. And it's really hard to find that. I mean, I thought I thought I'd had to give up on my creativity because I left the art school after a year, and not by choice, because I didn't have the talent or doing the work to justify my place there at that phenomenal art school. And so I then had to find a job in order to pay for my rent. And the only job I could do, having no qualifications, was selling clothes door to door for this company that was advertised in the newspaper. And I just took the men's shirts and I started to go by making appointments in the city with people who, you know, it was the centre of shirts. Obviously, every man's wearing a shirt in the city. So, and that's how I got started with this. In that 10 years, I learned how to sell, which I will now always say to you, you know, be proud if you can sell. This is bespoke cutting, that's ready-to-wear cutting. One of the things that is very skilled, and I've no idea how they do it, is matching seams. So where you have a seam join, you make sure that the checks or the stripes all line up. But here Sam is doing the cutting procedure. This is a paisley dressing gown with a very intricate hand-woven paisley wool and cotton.
As you were saying, matching seams, I was thinking, well, I could kind of imagine with a, you know, kind of maybe a light stripe. Maybe, you know, it's quite complicated, but get there. And I'm looking at the material Sam's working at the moment, and it's a very intricate paisley. And I'm like, how on earth are you matching that up?
No, well, Kelly's our queen pattern matcher. But you just have to allow yourself more time. And then starting when you lay the fabric on the table, it helps for a check, for example, if you cut a straight edge along the weft and the warp, and then make sure it's laid correctly to start off with, and it helps along the way.
And in terms of all the beautiful fabrics you work with, and I can see rolls and rolls of them down here underneath your cutting table. Yeah. Have you got particular favourites which you, for whatever reason, really like to work with?
I really like working with the linens. They're a little bit harder to cut because the drape is so soft. So if you don't lay it correctly, you can end up with a wonky shirt, which is not what our customers want. But it's really nice to cut and to work with.
Do you ever make any mistakes?
Well, sometimes, you know, we're all human, unfortunately. But I won't tell Emma that, so it's fine.
She's not listening.
No. Yeah, no. Sometimes we all make little mistakes, but we learn from them as we go. So, but I've been here for 10 years now, so I don't think I've made that many in 10 years.
Sam, thank you very much for chatting to me.
You're welcome.
That is a huge water bottle, by the way. Is that yours, Sam? Look at the size of that. God, blimey. So do you keep all the patterns from individual customers?
Yeah, so these here are filing cabinets. This is all the paper patterns of a customer. So if we take out...
Can we... I'm not trying to put you on the spot. Am I in here?
Oh, because you've had a bespoke shirt.
Many years ago, my wife very, very kindly booked me for a bespoke shirt. I went down to your lovely store on Jermyn Street.
Oh, come on. Have we got overflow next door? Oh, there you are.
There I am. Wow, there I am.
Yeah, so this is your body and paper version. Oh, it looks like we did some alterations on the armhole there. So
Because my arms are very chunky.
yes, far too much time in the gym.
In that moment where you're giving up your dream, you've got all this creativity, you know you've got it, but you're not able to make a living out of it. In that moment where you're then like, okay, I'm going to do door-to-door sales of clothes. Are you down? Are you kind of like, I've given up on my dream? Or are you the kind of person who was able to just kind of shoulder that and be like, okay, we move on to another chapter in my life?
No, I was down actually. I mean, I'm quite a positive person, so I was having fun, but not through my career. I set up my own business doing it with a tiny workroom in London, and I would travel to New York or Paris, and where I could go and look at lovely art galleries and see the world and have fun meeting new people. But I did feel that until I opened the shop, I felt that my career was a massive disappointment, and I absolutely felt I have not achieved. I can't tick the career box. I mean, by the time I opened the shop, I had 3 children, 1, 3 and 4. I was very happily married, so there was lots to celebrate about life. But I felt that I'd done that bit. I'd done the mother-children marriage bit, but I had totally failed on the career bit. And that was a huge disappointment to me.
So you were selling, and then you transition into a phase where you're like, do you know what, we're going to make our own. Was that moment the hardest part? Or did the hardest part of your journey come later?
I've always made our own, so I've always had my own production, but it was a tiny little workroom in London, and that I stumbled upon. So that rather happened very organically and naturally. The hardest bit, I mean, the leap into having a shop in Jermyn Street was huge, because I'd had my own business for 10 years by that stage, selling directly to my customers. I had built up a good database, but, relatively still a tiny business, which I was running, doing everything myself, bookkeeping and everything. And so I was going to give up the business, the children 1, 3 and 4, as I said, and I just couldn't keep getting on the airplane to New York and chasing my customers around the place, because it was just so difficult to do that, and I didn't want to keep leaving the children for big chunks of time. And I told my cutter then, Gary, poor Gary, I said, Gary, you can have all my customers, I can't do this anymore. And he said, great. And then I was sitting quietly at home in the evening on my own and with the children all in bed. And I thought, if I give up this now, I am not going to be a writer, I'm not going to be a singer, I'm not going to be a painter. I've tried them all. I haven't got what it takes for any 3 of those. So the only thing that I've excelled at, that this world is likely to want me for, is my 10 years of knowing what a beautiful bespoke shirt's all about. So I just thought, if there's a shop in the right part of London, which would be Jermyn Street, because that's the epicentre of the bespoke business, if there's a shop there, then I've got to do it. And so I went up to Jermyn Street, and I walked into Jermyn Street, and there, on the bespoke end, just off St James's, the second shop was to let. So I'll do a quick show around. We'll go in there for our chatting.
Okay.
But I will take you into this super talented room too. Good morning, everyone.
The super talented room.
Lynn has been with us for one of our original ladies. Everybody in this room everyone in the building is super talented. Lynn has been with us right from the start.
Can I ask Lynn about you joining? Tell me about the start.
I'm just trying to think. I remember I asked to come and see Emma because I heard that she was going to be making ties. And so I went to see her and I said, would you take me on to make ties? And I've been here ever since. And I'm going to die here. I'm never going to retire.
Why do you not want to retire?
Because I live on my own, and I wouldn't know what to do with myself. I really wouldn't. I mean, I only work 3 days, but I love the work. I love the place. So why retire? I look forward to Mondays.
I love Mondays too.
And I mean, all these people, they're all my friends. You know, we all get on. It's just a lovely place to work. I just love sewing and making things. That's as simple as it is.
And we love you making things, Lynn. And into another room.
Yes, so here we have the main sewing room. So this is Faye, Becky, Jen, Lucy and Georgina. This is the main sewing room, so I don't know how many thousands and thousands and thousands of shirts have come out of this small room. Kath Muir, who retired last year, was our who had 30 years of experience in bespoke shirt making. She trained pretty well everybody.
Hello, Georgina. Tell me about what you're doing.
Right now I'm doing the front of the shirt, and there's two different types. There's a flat front and a raised front, which is our most worn fronted shirts.
You've got your little workstation here, some lovely photos of Bambino and a chap here. Presumably that's your husband, is it?
I wish. David Gandhi, no.
Oh, it's David Gandhi, yes, sorry. Easy mistake to make, very similar to your husband. How long have you been here, Georgina?
6, 7 years. I think it was like my longest job I've ever had.
Okay, so it's the longest job you've ever had. Why have you stuck around at Emma Wills?
Oh, it's just it's so lovely. I did photography at university. I didn't do sewing, and then I lived in Berlin for a bit, where I self-taught to make men's shirts, and I moved back to England. And I think I was quite old. I think I was like 29 when I moved back to London, and to reinvent yourself in London was really difficult. And I wanted to do sewing, and I found Emma Willis and the company, and I saw on their website that they train people in their factory, and I was like, oh, I want to do that. So I emailed her, and here I am. And I just love it. It's just so nice.
Are you proud that you reinvented yourself?
Yeah, it's so difficult because at that age as well, to be, I don't know, for someone to take you on and you like get paid to learn a skill is just dream come true. Like, yeah, I was in tears when she gave me the job. I was just like amazed. Yeah, just emotional talking about it. But yeah, it was really good. Lifesaver, like, yeah.
Hi, if you're enjoying the show and want to support our makers and manufacturers, please hit the subscribe or follow button. If you're listening on Apple, hit the stars and rate the show. It takes a small moment but makes a big difference. Thanks. Right, back to the chat.
So I wrote to my 5 best customers and said, would you ever fund me to do this? I want to have a shop in Jermyn Street. And I literally wrote my business plan on the proverbial back of the beer mat, and various of them offered, little bits amount. I'll give you this, I'll give you that. And then one of my American customers, who I've been making for 10 years and making for lots of his friends, said, I've seen you do this for 10 years, Emma. I know you can do it, so I'll back you. So my backer was a brave man.
Your customers backed the business. Tell me then about building out the team, because obviously we're meeting your team members now, beautiful, lovely people who speak absolutely glowingly about working here. Tell me about then the stage where you're then building a team to occupy a very nice, large factory in Gloucester.
So the team that we started with, both sides knew nothing about the other, but it was the right time. So I put an advertisement into the local paper, and I took a friend of mine who lived here, kindly lent me his house, and we had in the sitting room. I did the interview, and it was packed full of people. And I realised they were all sort of a group that sort of almost planned it together. They said, right, I am your cutter, I am doing your backs, I'm doing your sleeves, I'm doing your buttons. They said to me, we don't know anything about you, Emma, but we want to come, and we're ready for a change. We'd like to go and work for a small company, and you don't know whether we can make a shirt or not. And so,
you must have been slightly worried then. when you took this group of 6 who came to you and said, listen, this is how we all do it, and you're like, sure, okay. That first day you must have been thinking, I hope these people can actually deliver.
I've realised what it is, having no choice. I had no choice. I had no choice by, the job I did selling clothes, because it was the only job I could get in the back of the paper. I had no choice but to do the shop, because otherwise I'd have had to give up my business, because I couldn't do it just me with the children. And I had no choice but to open my own factory here, because I'd been totally let down by the factory that was a wonderful privately owned company. It was then taken over by another couple of people, and it was dreadful. All the good people left, and they were making their standard, their quality had absolutely dived. I just got a big commission from Saks Fifth Avenue, and I was opening in 5 doors around America, and they made all the stock for it, 2,000 shirts. It was potentially such a great move for me, for the business, and they were dreadful. I went around America doing damage limitation to all the stores, saying, I'm sorry, this product isn't good enough. As soon as I got off the airplane, I went straight to the factory, and I just said, I can't do this. I've got to set up my own. And they said, we're so sorry, Emma. Anyway, I just removed all my patents, and luckily the 2 owners weren't there that day. And I removed. So
you literally got off the plane, drove there, took all your patents. I was so angry,
and I was just like, I've got no choice. So I just went, put all my fabric, all my patents, I stuffed in the back of my Land Rover, and I drove home, and I just put the advertisement in the paper. And then I started to look. I had no choice. And then, so I was very lucky to, 1, find that shop, and 2, find that group of people too. So, Mo is one of the original team. Mo has put on, I'm pretty well every button and buttonhole we've ever done. I'd say about 90% has probably been done by Mo, or she's trained people to do the younger team to do that. So Mo's been a fundamental part of our business.
Mo, Emma's just been saying you're one of the OGs.
I am, unfortunately. Emma didn't kind of know us, and we didn't know Emma. So it was just kind of a leap of faith for all of us at the time. So we just all decided that, it would be a good thing to do.
How many of the OGs are left?
I think there's working here. There's myself and there's Jackie who works in the other room, and then there's Lynn. Norman now lives in Costa Rica. Kath retired 2 years ago, and then there's Karen. Unfortunately, she's off with sickness, and that's about it really. So, but we all try and keep in touch with each other.
Even Norman in Costa Rica.
Well, Norman in Costa Rica and Lynn. I think Lynn went over for a holiday, so yeah, we do try and keep in touch. But yeah.
And just tell me a little bit about what you're doing right now.
Well, today, normally I'm in the buttonhole and button room. I'm doing all that. But today, because we're short-staffed, I'm doing pressing and packing and folding, making sure that they all go out beautifully and that the customer gets them exactly how they want them.
Waving them off.
Yeah.
With a smile and a bit of love.
Of course. Always.
So you're exceedingly famous and celebrated for, kind of your very successful style for soldiers. Where does that social conscience thread come from?
My mother, I think. My mother was just the most outward-looking and a phenomenal people's person. I mean, people gravitated towards her, which they definitely don't to me, but they gravitated towards her for to sort out their problems. She spent most of her life in the larder where she'd disappear with a telephone wire. We'd go and she'd shut the door, and then all you'd see was the telephone wire going into the larder and sorting out people's problems. And she worked in child protection. So she worked in families where there was child abuse. She wrote these wonderful poems which were from a baby being born all the way through to early years. And she wrote the words of the baby, they were, please understand me, I'm crying because of this, I'm tantruming because of that. and they vocalised the baby who can't speak yet to the mother. My sister got married on Saturday, and my son read one of her beautiful poems about a tantrum, which was wonderful because my mother died a year ago and is much missed.
She must have been exceedingly proud of you.
Oh. Well, we were very, very close. It was lovely being able to involve her and both my parents in everything. So they've definitely driven me to want to make them proud as well.
Do you ever get a moment to step back and kind of be proud of yourself?
I am proud of the charity and the business. The opposite was when I felt my life had been rather pointless and my career was such a failure when I was, mid-20s, and a disappointment to me. I now feel very fulfilled. And I love that and again, it's the complete opposite. I remember waking up when it was mid-20s and thinking, if I don't get out of bed today, nobody's going to notice. I won't make any impact on the world. I could stay in bed all day and nothing. Nobody would even notice. And today, I wake up in the morning and gloriously, I am pulled out of bed by so many responsibilities and ideas and people that I've promised things to. So I feel very lucky to feel like that now, because I know the opposite way, and it's so hard when you don't have purpose.
It's clear Bearland House is absolutely brimming with purpose. Emma, thank you so much for taking the time to chat to me. It's really appreciated.
Oh, thank you, Stephen.
Okay, into the shed of greatness goes the cotton shed, number 21 on our list. My huge thanks to everyone at Bearland House. And a slight confession also. For years, I've spoken to friends and family about Emma Wills, only to realise on my visit that I've been pronouncing her name wrong the whole time. Some of you listening very carefully might have noticed it's actually pronounced Emma Willis. Emma, I am so sorry. I won't be getting it wrong again. Okay, my thanks also to you for hanging out with me the past half an hour. Do say hello on Instagram. Jenny Finn, I hope you're right. Fern-England, thanks. And I'm so impressed with you reusing 50-year-old vintage tack. Brilliant. Mark at Barnfield Customs, thanks immensely for the chat. Carmel, Kate, Susan, so incredibly grateful for your support. If you have time, do please star the show on Apple. It does make a big difference. Okay, wherever you are, whatever you are doing, I hope you're happy. Until next time, bye.